Good evening, this is Switch TV News at 7. I am Lincoln Wambogo. Our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithia, and these are the top stories. Embattled Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa arrested and taken to DCI headquarters. High Court quashes petition filed by ODPP and DCI for removal of Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu from office over alleged gross misconduct. Ukambani leaders give presidential hope for Raila Odinga, a raft of demands as the ODM leaders woos the Kamba Nation. Glad you're watching. Send in your feedback and comments to our SMS line 111 Switch TV Kenya and Lincoln Wambogo on all social media handles. Embattled Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa has been arrested and taken to DCI headquarters for grilling. This comes a day after being kicked out of office by Sports CS Amina Mohammed. According to officials, the incident is a part of ongoing probe into claims of graft at the body. Moving on. Raila Odinga has taken his charm offensive to Makueni County, hosted by Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana in the company of Kitui's Charity Ngilu and head Machakos counterpart Alfred Mutua. In a speech, Ngilu hit out at Deputy President William Ruto on corruption allegations and failure to deliver in his 10 years in government. Our very own Flora Lemuki opens the reporting for us.
Inawezekana.
Orange Democratic Movement Party leader Raila Odinga took his Azimio la Umoja doctrine to Makueni County as he winds up his campaign trails before the much-awaited declaration of his presidential bid on December 9th.
Mimi najua pale kuna mianya pale ambayo natoboa. Mtaziba zote. Tutapata pesa ya kutosha ya kumudu hiyo mpango kama haya.
As his allies propagated for the former premier's agenda, conversations revolving around the second-in-command took center stage, scolding his Asla narrative.
Nchi yetu inaumia sana. Kwanza niliona mtu, and I want to curse him, and God look at him. Akipatia wanawake anawaambia hii biashara mnafanya, atichukueni 1 million shillings. Shindwa wewe. What business is that?
While attending the Azimio la Umoja mobilization rally in Makueni, the ODM leader has been presented with a raft of demands by the Ukambani leaders in return of their support when the country goes to the ballot in under 9 months.
Tunataka kuwa kwa serikali kwa sababu sisi tunataka utupatie pesa ya maji Ukambani.
That we will join hands with the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for the 2022 elections of the Republic of Kenya and Azimio la Umoja.
And we should register at least 2.5 million. Kwa hivyo kila mtu yuko hapa, tukirudi nyumbani, tafadhali make sure, our young people, wherever, everybody, register to vote, anapata kitambulisho ama akiwa nacho tayari, register.
And as he would the Ukambani backyard, which has at least 1.6 million voters, Odinga has promised to give 2 million households 6,000 shillings monthly once elected as the 5th president. Flora Lemuki, Switch TV.
Thank you, Flora Lemuki. And still in March's politics, Deputy President William Ruto has called on leaders to focus on the economy and not constitutional amendments. In his tour of Ukambani, the second-in-command has continued to drum up support for his bottom-up economic model. Mariam Jahid reports.
In Zombe Town, Kitui County, Deputy President William Ruto, while traversing co-principal of One Kenya Alliance, Kalonzo Musyoka hometown, was warmly received by residents while making stopovers along roadside in the region. Mostly the youth and local business people turned out as the DP campaigned for his allied United Democratic Movement Party, further popularizing his bottom-up economic model. Ruto has urged the residents to embrace the model that will create jobs and make water available for farmers that will bring food security in the semi-arid region.
Tubadilishe uchumi kwanza ili tupangie hawa vijana wetu ajira wapate nafasi ya kufanya kazi na kujisimamia. na tuwapatie hawa wakulima, hawa wafanyabiashara wadogo pesa ya kununua biashara yao, na tusaidie wakulima watuzalishie chakula ya kutosha, tuondoe njaa. Tuanze hapo kwa uchumi kwanza.
The second in command has continued hitting hard at his political rivals for advocating for constitutional amendments, instead the economy that affects the local mwananchi.
Na hawa watu wawache kiburi na madharau. Kenya si ya viongozi peke yao. Kenya ni yetu sisi wote. Kama namna gani? Hapana. Hatutakuwa tunaongea kila mwaka badilisha katiba, huyu bado anataka cheo, yule mwingine bado anataka cheo, yule mwingine anataka kuongezea mamlaka. Siku gani tutaongea mambo ya hawa wananchi jameni?
Leaders from Ukambani who tagged along DP Ruto have castigated the 3 governors from Ukambani region for supporting ODM party leader Raila Odinga.
Kina magovernors tuko na Mutua wa Machakos, Kibuda Kibonda wa Makueni na Charity Ngilu wa huku Kitui. Wanafuata Raila ili wapate protection kwa ile makosa wamefanya wakiongoza wananchi.
Lakini kuna mtu amekuja sana. Tunaomba governor yetu Gavana Charity Ngilu afanye kazi yake, awachane na Ruto.
Both the deputy president and ODM party leader Raila Odinga are on a tour in the eastern region, wing supporters for their political bids ahead of the 2022 general elections. Mariam Jahid, Switch TV.
Elsewhere, High Court has quashed a petition filed by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations for removal of Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu from office over alleged gross misconduct. Take a look.
Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu problem started when Director of Prosecution, the DPP, and 3 other petitioners lodged petitions before the Judicial Service Commission seeking Mwilu's removal. This was after the High Court suspended Mwilu's prosecution by the DPP over fraud-related charges in August 2018.
My lords, my ladies will note that during the hearing of such removal, the threshold set therein is not as high as the one set during a court process. During that hearing, my lords, my ladies, the tribunal is not bound by the strict rules of evidence. And I submit, my lords, my ladies, that the reason why this is so is because the judge must remain above reproach, so that it does not require very hand evidence to remove the judge from office. That hearing, my lords, my ladies, will be conducted in private, pursuant to Section 9, unless the judge whose conduct is the subject of the investigation chooses to have the hearing in public.
According to Justices Said Chitambwe, Roslyn Aburili, and Weldon Korir, any petition emanating from the DCI or DPP seeking to remove Mwilu violates the doctrine of separation of powers, as they have no rights to do so. It's on record that Mwilu moved to court claiming that 2 of the GSC commissioners supposed to hear out our case, that is Kiara Kariuki and Macharia Njeru, were biased. The claims that were later dismissed by the commissioners. Mwilu is also facing corruption, failure to pay taxes, forgery and altering false documents before the Judicial Service Commission. The remaining 3 petitions have been suspended awaiting the outcome of the 2 appeals filed by Mwilu and the DPP. Mariam Jahid, Switch TV.
Thank you, Mariam Jahid. Meanwhile, a section of northeastern leaders have called upon the government to speed up relief food distribution as the effects of drought worsen, leaving 23 counties at the risk of being food insecure. Chapter 8 with more details.
Speaking today in Nairobi, the leaders drawn from the Pastoral Parliamentary Group (CACAS) have expressed concern over the slow response by cabinet secretaries tasked with leading intervention programs since the government declared a drought a national disaster, with 23 counties at risk of being food insecure.
So we're asking government to upscale to try to save the serious humanitarian crisis going on in the northern part of Kenya. And as leaders, we have agreed to meet the the respective cabinet secretaries.
There are particular ministries that are concerned with this. We are asking them to urgently move to the ground, because right now what we have on the ground is not resonating well with what has been allocated.
According to Samburu North Member of Parliament Alois Lento Imaga, the impact of the funds released towards a drought intervention have not yet been felt in the grassroots. The legislator has further added that the move by the government to register people for cash transfer faces numerous challenges, citing lack of banks in the region.
Watu they trek for almost 50 kilometers. 20 kilometers to 50 kilometers kutafuta maji. Hata akina mama, hata watoto. Shule zinaweza fungwa sasa wakati wote.
The drought situation, which was declared a national disaster by President Uhuru Kenyatta on 8th September this year, continues to heighten, with 2 million Kenyans now exposed to it. The situation is aggravated by lack of rain and locust invasion. Chepto Boit for Switch TV News.
Thank you, Chepto Boit. That story takes us to a short commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. More than 30 high schools in the country have been razed down in the last 1 month due to schools unrest and a number of students arrested and arraigned in court. This has elicited mixed reactions among parents, teachers and the government, with some considering a return of corporal punishment. Is this the way to go? Does this generation resonate with corporal punishment? Our reporter Daniel Anunda speaks to psychologist Victoria Joseph and files the following report.
The Holy Book says, spare the rod, you get it, spoil the child. But do the millennials, also known as Generation Y, and the Alpha generation understand the language of the cane?
I think first you need to understand hao ni watoto, hawajakomaa na kuna vile wanatakiwa tuelewe kwa nini wanafanya hivi. So kuengage na hao watoto kwanza ili tujue shida ni nini, because what we are saying is they are trying to communicate. Watoto wanaona vile tunafanya. Tukiangalia tu hivi karibuni tumeona kila mtu, kama uko na shida kazini, uko na shida nyumbani, watu wanaanza kustrike, watu wanaanza kupigana. Kuna vita kila pahali. Tukikosana na wewe hata tunachomana, tunaona watu wanaua wengine. Haya, tukienda kwa society tunaona hata wanasiasa, kila mtu unaona tu hatuna problem solving solutions. So I think first we need to know how do we communicate, and then sasa ndio tunaanza kuuliza watoto tujue ni nini inaendelea.
Victoria also implores the government to improve the learning environment and conditions in public schools, which she feels is a major contributor to the unrest.
Why is it in the public schools? That's a good thing to ask. Tuanze hapo. Ukienda hizi public schools unakuta watoto wamerushwa hapo kama wanyama. Watoto wengi na walimu wachache. Hao walimu wako na stress. Hawezi deal na hata wanyama ukiwafungia pahali pia wao wataripuka. It will be the same reaction. So I think firstly government sisi kuangalia hizi shule environment ikoaje. Walimu pia what is their mental status.
According to psychologist Victoria Joseph, this is a journey and this is something that needs to be solved by every stakeholder, including the teachers, the parents and also the students. It is also a step-by-step idea. Reporting for Switch TV, I'm Daniel Anunda.
Will the reintroduction of corporal punishment solve this issue of schools unrest? Share your feedback and comments through SMS line 111 444 the Switch TV Kenya and the link in Wumbogo. Thank you, Daniel Anunda, for that story. The National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, in liaison with Kenya Police Traffic Department, have today launched a sensitization initiative with an aim of reminding motorists to keep tabs on watching their speed ahead of World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims that is set to happen on 21st November 2021 at the Machakos Bus Park. In line with the theme of the D-Day, Acting for Low Speeds, the authorities checked on the operation of speed governance systems, safety belts, among others, as a form of sensitization. According to statistics released by NTSA in September this year, cases of road accidents in 2021 have risen compared to a similar period in the previous year, with fatalities increasing by 25% as of September 20th, 2021.
November, that will be next Sunday, and here in Machakos we are going to do it at the Machakos Bus Park. So as you can see, we also have our motor vehicle inspectors. What they are doing, they are checking the speed governors that are fitted on PSV vehicles and commercial vehicles to check whether they are functioning well, and if they are not functioning well, of course we are telling the people concerned to ensure that they are rectified, and so that the vehicles are able to operate on the required speed limits. So about the World Day of Remembrance, the theme for this year is Act on Low Speeds, and that is the reason why we are also sensitizing the public on the same. Ideally for PSV and commercial vehicles, they are supposed to travel at a maximum speed of 80 kilometers per hour. So that is why we have also the speed limiter companies here. They are here to witness what you are doing and to also check whether their gadgets are working well.
And for the last 12 days, Glasgow has played host to COP26, the world's biggest climate conference of the decade. The event brought together world leaders and major climate actors to engage in discussions on how to mitigate the challenges of climate change. And as the curtains come down in Glasgow, Switch TV takes a look at how climate change has affected communities living in the coastal areas of Somalia and Somaliland. A crew of Hilary Kirui and Samira Kibache travelled to the Horn of Africa and prepared this report.
Nature, beautiful and serene. But this is only so when you treat it right. Human activity has time and again changed this narrative. The result of this unwarranted human activity is exactly what you see here. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, human emissions and activities have caused around 100% of the planet Earth's warming observed since the 1950s. If this persists, soon we will have no planet to talk about. Everyone has to play their part in forestalling this reality and reverse the adverse effects of human activity. Located along the Red Sea, Bulhar is a historical coastal town in Sahel region of Somaliland. The district had an estimated population of 7,000 people, 2,000 of them residing within the town. Due to internal migration, there are only 500 people residing in the town currently. Residents of this district struggle with increased heat, drought, and insect outbreaks. Effects that have pushed these populations to extreme poverty. Ahmed Hersi Yusuf has lived in Bulhar since 1946. He has witnessed the changes in climatical conditions ever since childhood. He worries that the situation is getting worse by the day.
Before, Bulhar used to be green, but now all trees are basically not there. It is just drought. As a community, we don't know what to do. The heat keeps on increasing day by day.
Bulhar Primary School is located within the village. It is the only education institution around here. The school initially had a student population of 140. But now there are only 6 pupils. The majority migrated to other places due to unbearable high temperatures. Classrooms are too hot. A situation that denies pupils a chance at decency. They are mostly in vests as opposed to school uniform during class time.
After the summer break, many children are not yet back to school. In other parts of Somaliland, schools are opened and running smoothly. Due to this prolonged summer, our children are lagging behind, prompting for a solution, which is to build a boarding school and equip it with necessary facilities such as cooling system and also providing them with water and food.
Indeed, global warming affects all dwellers on Earth. Our habitats disappear rapidly. In Bulhar, animals have also suffered the brunt of climate change. Prolonged drought in the area has pushed residents to employ extreme measures to get water for drinking and other domestic use.
Due to increased temperature, climate has really affected the health of this community, especially old people and women. Now in Bulhar, there is shortage of water, and when it rains, people take advantage of it for the basic use, and this causes an increase in the number of people suffering from waterborne diseases.
One of the considerations when building a residential house in this area is climate. Here in Bulhar, residential houses are mainly shanties that are poorly constructed. However, these shanties barely shield them from the excessive heat, a situation worsened by congestion. People often opt to sleep outside at night instead. Along the Indian Ocean coastline in Puntland state of Somalia lies an ancient town known as Bandar Beyla. Like Bulhar, this town and its environs experiences effects of climate change. But unlike the former, residents here are faced with challenges brought about by strong winds. The town has a population of approximately 10,000 people. Their main economic activity is fishing. However, fishing activity right now barely sustains the residents, since the activity has been severely affected by changing weather patterns. The ocean is characterized by very strong winds, which makes fishing very difficult. Fishermen are forced to study the weather patterns first before they set sail into the sea. With a bit of luck, fishing has better returns during the calm wee hours of the day since tides are a bit calm. Lack of proper fishing has adversely affected livelihoods. Most residents here live below the poverty line. Effects of this situation have also spilled to other sectors such as education. Bandar Bela primary and secondary schools register high dropout rates. Most parents are unable to pay school fees. Residents of Bandar Bela say that memories of the tsunami that happened in 1975 and 2005 still linger in their minds. The catastrophe left hundreds of residents without sources of income as their fishing equipment, such as boats, were destroyed. This unfortunate incident brought the economy of the town to its knees. The devastating effects of the tsunami are still being felt to date. Many whose houses were destroyed remain homeless. Populations in Bulhar and Bandar Bela are among millions across the world already compounded by the devastating effects of climate change. It is up to all of us to play our part in limiting greenhouse gas emissions and their effect on temperatures and ecosystems. It is our duty to protect the earth for the sake of future generations.
And from the sports desk, World Football Governing Body FIFA is threatened to ban Kenya from participating in its activities if the decision to disband Football Kenya Federation is not reversed. Contrary to FIFA's demands, barely a day after assuming office, the Football Kenya Federation Caretaker Committee has cracked the whip. The retired Justice Aaron Ringera-led committee resolved Friday to suspend all the country's major competitions. This includes the FKF Premier League, the National Super League, National Division 1 League, the FKF Women's Premier League, as well as the FKF Women's Division 1 League. Meanwhile, five-time world champions Brazil secured their spot to the upcoming 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar after their 1-0 home win over Colombia at the Neo Química Arena in Sao Paulo for the 13th round of the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. After a scoreless first half, the national team, coached by Tite, finally found the net with a goal scored by Lucas Paqueta. With the victory, Brazil extended their unbeaten campaign at home in World Cup qualifiers matches.
A play there from Barrios. Now Cuadrado. And there's a wonderful hit.